Hi YouTube, this is Marauders here, and I have both the Acer Iconia W4 and the Dell Venue 8 Pro. So since I have the two of them here, we're gonna go and do a short okay, it's gonna be a pretty long comparison between the two of these new interesting Windows 8.1 tablets. So you can have an informed decision when you see these two available to you. You can have an informed decision on which one to choose, which one is right for you. And most importantly, you can avoid making the same mistake which I did, which is to buy both of these things and not know how to explain it to my wife. And no, she still doesn't know that I actually have two of these things. So let's start off with the physical comparison first. Physically, on first look, the Acer W4 and the Dell Venue 8 Pro is roughly the same size. You can see that they pretty much stack together on each other, almost exactly the same. So on the physical side, not much difference. Weight wise, they generally feel the same also, so also not much difference there. One of the first differences you notice is the thickness, where the Acer W4 is about 1.1 cm thick, and the Dell Venue 8 Pro is 0.9 cm thick. So that's about 2 millimeters worth of difference. So the Acer is slightly thicker, not by much, and the Dell Venue 8 Pro is slightly thinner. The next difference will have to be the placement of the Windows button. So on the Acer W4, it's basically placed like your typical tablet, which is right at the center bottom. And on the Dell Venue 8, it's actually on top here. Now, some people are wondering why the Dell is not the only 8-inch tablet to do this. So some people are wondering why you put it in such an odd angle. Well, my theory to that is that it actually allows you to hold the tablet in any orientation. Now, for the Acer, the fact that it's a physical button instead of a capacitive button means you can easily grip it without accidentally pressing the button. Because it's a physical button, you need actual force to press it down, so you can grip it in any angle you want. But for the Venue 8 Pro, because there's no button at any corner, you can easily handle it at any angle. And if you still need the Windows button, you can still press it from the top. And because they didn't put any capacitive buttons on the rim, then it's easy for you to just hold it hold the corners at any way you want. So actually, having the Windows button on the top, while it takes some time to familiarize yourself with, isn't such a bad idea. Then we get to the ports. On the Iconia W4, you get your HDMI port, your micro SD slot, then you have your stereo speakers, which I don't know, there are two speakers here. I don't actually know whether they're stereo or not. Then you have your USB port and your headphone jack. Now, nothing much to talk about here, but one thing to take note is that since the headphone jack has quite a close distance to the micro USB port, if you are using a slightly larger USB on the go dongle, you might actually block it if you're not using the cable that came with your Iconia W4 to begin with. So on the Dell Venue, it's you have The USB port is actually at the side, which is a slightly interesting decision. And the SD card is actually underneath a little rubber cover. Let's grab it open here. So actually, the SD card slot is actually under a little cover, and it's actually a bit deep. Yeah, without any longer fingernails, it might be a bit hard to eject it out. Another interesting thing to note is that I don't remember seeing a GSM option, but this blank slot here right next to the micro SD slot sure looks like there's a space for a SIM card. And then the headphone jack is on the top of the device, and there's one lone speaker at the bottom of the Dell Venue 8. And of course, one of the biggest difference between the Dell and the Acer is that the Dell doesn't come with a HDMI port. They expect everyone to use Miracast or some other wireless display protocols to push your display out from tablet to a monitor. I don't have anything that actually allows me to do that, so I can't actually test that out. Then we move back to the back of the devices. We come to another polarizing difference between the two, which is the fact that on the Acer Iconia, you get a very pristine, very smooth surface. It's really smooth, pristine plastic. Now, there are two problems here with this, if you can consider them problems. The first is, this looks like paint. So, yeah, actually it is paint. So yeah, I'm actually nicked it a few already. So it probably scratch off and well, it probably look ugly after a few months. And it's very likely to slip off your hands if you're not careful. So like, if you're holding it like this, it will very likely slip off because of the smooth shape. Now, for the Dell Venue though, it has this nice ridged pattern. It's a ridged spiral pattern. I'm not sure the camera can pick it up properly. There's a ridged spiral pattern to it. It feels really nice to touch, and because of that, it actually has a better grip when you're holding it. It feels really nice to hold. I actually really like holding the Dell Venue 8 Pro because of the smooth or the ridges at the back. It feels really good. Next, we will talk about the screens, and both the Acer and the Dell, they have very nice, very bright, clear screens. Viewing angle is probably hard to see from the camera, but the viewing angle is fantastic for both of them. So definitely the Acer doesn't have that crummy screen that the W3 was being bashed about for, so there's no worries there. But one thing that you might want to take note is that the Acer screen might be a bit hard to see with the camera doing some correction here. The Acer screen is actually colder. The color balance is colder by default, whereas the Dell Venue screen is a bit warmer, so the colors are warmer. Now, if though colder and warmer color temperatures have no meaning to you, basically you can say that on the Dell, because it's a warmer color, you see yellows, you see the colors a bit more yellowish, whereas because on the Acer it is colder, it's a bit more bluish. So if you know about these, you should know how to set the color balance on the screens. I haven't had any time to do that because personally it's not that big a matter to me. And of course, both of these screens are 1280 by 800 resolution, and of course they have both share the same weird quirk about their display resolutions, which you should check out my other video on that. So one of the main reasons you might have gotten a tablet is probably to entertain the kids. So an important thing is, of course, how well do the speakers work. And while the Acer W4 has 2 speakers, so you can see there's two speaker grills here. They say it's stereo. Okay, it's not like it's gonna really make any difference. And while it sounds loud, it doesn't really work very. It sounds loud in an enclosed space, like when you're inside a room. But when you're in an open area, like inside a restaurant or something, and where there's noise, yeah, doesn't actually output the sound very loudly or clearly. So probably need to get an external speaker. For the Dell, it's pretty much it's almost the same case. You have a single speaker grill here. You have a single speaker grill on this side. So again, it sounds loud. It sounds loud in when you're inside a room, but no miracles will happen when you go out, when you're in a restaurant or something. So speakers they work, but don't expect to use them in any noisy environment. Now on to the topic of the USB port. Now I already made another video about this, but if you want to charge the tablet, if you need your tablets to charge through a USB power pack, the Dell Venue Pro actually charges much more easier through a USB power pack. To get the Acer to charge through a USB power pack is well, there's a lot of it. Eventually I did manage to get it to charge through a power pack, but it's a lot of work. So if you want to easily charge it through a USB power pack, the Dell is probably your choice. Now Acer, on the Acer website, there's actually a battery pack accessory. So well, if you want to get their official battery pack, so you can, and that will probably charge that and other USB devices easily. And another thing is that Acer itself was kind enough to provide a USB on-the-go cable in the packaging. So that was great for them. Dell didn't provide a cable inside this packaging. So they were probably expecting to make another, I don't know, 10, 15 US off you for a dingy little cable. Aside from being the ability to charge from a USB power pack, there is one other thing that these two tablets do differently, and that is when it comes to using portable hard disk. Now, so I have a portable hard disk, USB hard disk here. So we just plug into the USB on-the-go cable. Then we plug it into the Acer. So you can hear that the Acer has detected the hard disk. And did I disable my auto run? So I can see my hard disk appear here. So there's no issues, it works perfectly. Now we move on to the Dell Venue 8 Pro. So we plug the hard disk in. So the Dell's USB port is on the side. You can hear it detect. And it drops. And that's it. Basically, this is a sign of the fact that the Dell doesn't have enough juice to power a USB hard drive. So how are you gonna solve that? The way to solve this is that you either use a powered USB hub to deliver power current to the hard disk, or you get a little on-the-go cable like this. So what this allows you to do is you can actually provide additional power into the device. So now I'm going to again. Now before I plug the hard disk in, I'm going to use a charger to provide current. This doesn't actually charge the tablet, in case you're wondering. And then I'm going to plug the hard disk in. And now it has managed to detect the hard disk. So the problem here is that on the Dell Venue 8 Pro, it had the USB port power output on the port is not high enough to drive hard disk. I already tried it on 2 different hard disks and it still doesn't work. Is it possible that you have some other lower power requirement hard disk that might work? Okay, that's probably possible, but you have to note that the Dell Venue 8 Pro doesn't provide high current through the USB port. So if you are thinking of using hard disk with the Dell Venue 8 Pro, you have to be aware of that.